specter is haunting the modern world, the specter of crypto anarchy. Computer technology is on the verge of providing the ability for individuals and groups to communicate and interact with each other in a totally anonymous manner. Two persons may exchange messages, conduct business, and negotiate electronic contracts without ever knowing the true name or legal identity of the other.
What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 20 of FIAT LUX. We're going to start the show as we usually do. A little bit of music, warm you guys up, give people a chance to get in. So, hello guys. Happy November. What's up? Okay. Hello there in the chat. How's it going? Right. Let's get started. Nice tunes. Thank you, Tower Power. Appreciate it. Got the techno going. Techno for the boys. I'm going to bring that down a bit because it's time to start. There we go. Right. So first off, just because the market's taken an absolute shit, gonna have a little look at the charts. We've got BTC here, third red candle on the weekly chart. We also got Ethereum doing the same. Dropping off a bit of a cliff here. Everyone's bags are getting devastated. But the pump might not be over, guys. Keep seeing all this news about all the institutions still buying, and this is just a small pullback. Obviously not financial advice, don't take my word for it. Who knows what could happen. Beware. Let's see, how's XMR doing? Okay, we got a little pump up to about just under 480, and then we're coming back down for the week. Let's see, how's Zcash? Is Zcash still pumping? How's Zcash doing? Okay. Right, let's get into it. Guys. So, first off, we're gonna talk about this one because this one's going to be quite long. So, this is Ethereum leaders launched a trustless manifesto. Let's have a look at that. Here we go, guys. Ethereum preaches decentralization. Oh, that's it. 1 minute. What is going on here? One second. Wrong link. We're going to come to that later. Okay, so Ethereum leaders launched Trustless Manifesto to protect crypto decentralization. Ethereum co-founder Vitalik Buterin and developers published the Trustless Manifesto demanding mathematical verification over intermediaries, responding to mounting criticism that Ethereum's ecosystem has drifted towards centralization. Ethereum co-founder Vitalik Buterin and prominent developers have published the Trustless Manifesto, a sweeping declaration demanding that blockchain systems prioritize mathematical verification over intermediary trust. The document arrives amid mounting criticism that Ethereum's ecosystem has drifted towards centralization, despite public commitments to decentralization. Just last month, former core dev revealed that a small group of insiders effectively controls project success and protocol direction. The manifesto asserts that trustlessness, where system correctness relies solely on mathematics and consensus rather than the goodwill of intermediaries. Ethereum was not created to make finance efficient or apps convenient, the authors wrote. It was created to set people free. Remember that, guys. Simply put, it was created to set people free. We keep forgetting that. Keep thinking it's about the bag. Trying to pump the bag. That's not what it's about, is it? It's about freedom. So see, Tower Power says it's not over. Bitcoin will drop and people will look elsewhere as usual. It goes up even better. More to pump out. Exactly. Yeah, people don't seem to think it's over. The pump's not over yet. Keep your eyes on the markets going through November into December and January. We'll see what happens. So it says, Manifesto sets 6 core requirements for decentralized systems. The document establishes strict criteria for trustless design, self-sovereignty, where users authorize their own actions, verifiability through public data, censorship resistance within reasonable timeframes, operator replaceability without approval, practical accessibility beyond technical experts, transparent incentive structures. Removing any requirement causes systems to drift from protocol to platform, from neutral ground to private property, according to the text. The manifesto applies 3 laws prohibiting critical secrets held by single actors, indispensable intermediaries that users cannot realistically replace, and unverifiable outcomes lacking public reproducibility. These laws are harsh, the authors acknowledge. They limit what we can build easily, but they are the only guarantee that what we build belongs to everyone. Beyond theoretical frameworks, document warns that centralization already permeates Ethereum's infrastructure through hosted RPCs serving as defaults. AWS GCP Cloudflare dependency creating single points of failure and centralized sequencing in many rollups. Decentralization erodes not through capture, but through convenience. Also very true. Remember that, guys. You can apply that to everything, right? Isn't that the angle that the British government at the moment is taking with digital ID? Oh, it's going to be convenient. Everything's going to be smooth. Everything's going to be more efficient. That's how they get you. So decentralization erodes not through capture, but through convenience. The manifesto states, comparing the trajectory to email's evolution, where spam filters and block lists made self-hosted service practically impossible despite remaining theoretically open. Former developer exposes elite control contradicting decentralization claims. The manifesto's release follows bombshell revelations from former Geth lead developer Peter Zlegli, who published a May 2024 letter exposing how 5 to 10 people around Buterin maintain complete indirect control over Ethereum's direction through attention allocation, donations, investments, and researcher assignments. Projects no longer conduct public offerings but instead secure backing from the same insiders, creating what he called a ruling elite, where success requires convincing the correct 5 to 10 people around Vitalik, or even him, to commit. Separately, he revealed he earned just $625,000 over 6 years managing Ethereum's primary execution client with 0 benefits or raises, describing foundation employment as a bad financial decision that created a perfect breeding ground for perverse incentives, conflicts of interest, and eventual protocol capture. He warned the foundation set the protocol up for capture by underpaying contributors who cared about principles, forcing them to seek compensation elsewhere, while those remaining felt like the useful fools watching big players reshape the protocol. Sentiments at the time summarized the dynamic as, "We're happy you built an empire for us, now move aside and let the people who can make us money take the lead." Paradigm's growing influence over Ethereum. Separate warnings also emerged during the same time when Ethereum core developer Fede's intern cautioned that venture capital firm Paradigm's influence within Ethereum could become a relevant tail risk for the ecosystem. Paradigm manages $17.2 billion and has positioned itself across multiple fronts, including hiring top researchers, funding critical open source libraries like Reth, and launching Tempo. Tempo is a competing layer 1 blockchain that has raised $500 million at a $5 billion valuation from traditional finance firms, including Green Oaks, Thrive, Stripe, and Sequoia. The concerns intensified following the departure of long-term Ethereum Foundation researcher Dankrad Feist to Tempo, where Paradigm co-founder Matt Wong serves as CEO while retaining his role at the venture firm. When corporations gain too much legibility and influence over open source projects, priorities start to drift away from the community's long-term vision and towards corporate incentives. The developer warned, noting Paradigm's failed FTX investment led them to remove most references to crypto and pivot heavily toward AI. So, a lot of people pivoted towards AI around that time. I mean, it's still happening. You even see, for example, podcasts like Bankless have created their own spin-off podcast that's just about AI, completely AI driven. And everyone's talking about how AI and crypto are going to merge. So what we're going to do here is now we're going to read, just to get some context, the article about the criticism of Ethereum's decentralization by the core dev. So it says here, former Geth lead Peter Zlagli, I don't know how to say that, maybe you guys in the chat can help me, exposes 5 to 10 people controlling Ethereum ecosystem through Vitalik Buterin's complete indirect control as foundation underpaid core devs, with Zlagli earning $625K over 6 years, creating protocol capture breeding ground. It says, former Geth lead developer Peter Zlagli published a scathing May 2024 letter to Ethereum Foundation leadership, revealing that a small circle of 5 to 10 people effectively controls the entire ecosystem despite public claims of decentralization. The letter exposes how project success depends on securing backing from the same individuals around co-founder Vitalik Buterin, who maintains complete indirect control of Ethereum's direction through his attention, donations, investments, and researcher brainpower allocation. Core developer exposes useful fool dynamic. He warned that Ethereum created a ruling elite where new projects no longer conduct public offerings but instead reach out to the same people for initial investment or advisorship roles. The developer described feeling like a useful fool caught in a lose-lose situation where pushing back against power players gradually chips away at reputation, while remaining silent allows big players to reshape the protocol. He earned just $625,000 over 6 years managing Ethereum's primary execution client with zero benefits or raises, describing Foundation employment as a bad financial decision that created a perfect breeding ground for perverse incentive, conflicts of interest, and eventual protocol capture. His revelations follow recent criticisms from Polygon co-founder Sandeep Nelwal and concerns about Paradigm's growing influence through projects like Tempo. He emphasized that despite Geth being the oldest team in the ecosystem apart from Buterin himself, I really don't see that much appreciation for sticking around. He noted Twitter sentiment elegantly summarizes the feeling as, we're happy you built an empire for us, now move aside and let the people who can make us money take the lead. The developer stated, we set out to build something great, but we will readily shed all our principles the moment there's enough money on the table. Small cabal controls Ethereum. He revealed that everyone within the ecosystem was banking on Buterin's influence for the past decade, with early founders vying for power internally before conference attendees realized the key to success is Vitalik. The dynamic evolved into a small cabal of high-profile Ethereum thought leaders, the same 5 to 10 people having investments and advisorships in everything. He noted that achieving success now requires getting the correct 5 to 10 people around Vitalik, or even him, to commit, citing Farcaster as a case example. The developer explained that securing bankless investment guarantees podcast promotion, while recruiting researchers as advisors both solve technical problems and reduce perceived friction within the Ethereum mainnet. He observed, you find the same exact people behind all the new projects launching, each project directly playing into each other's hands. And if you zoom out enough, you'll also find the same VCs on the outside. Buterin has indirect control, despite Ethereum's decentralized claims, with his opinions defining what's permitted and what isn't permitted in the ecosystem at large. He noted the strategy for grey area behavior involves convincing Buterin it's okay-ish to gain approval. He stated, Ethereum's direction always boiled down to your relationship with Vitalik, explaining the psychology that you're much more lenient with your friends than outsiders, so be friends with the kingmaker. Foundation's compensation strategy enabled protocol capture. He warned that the Foundation set the protocol up for capture by underpaying people who truly cared about Ethereum, forcing trusted contributors to seek compensation elsewhere. The developer stated, the Foundation took away life-changing money from every single one of their employees over the past decade, and no last-minute action is going to matter the least bit. He noted leadership was so blinded by their infinite battle chest and Vitalik by his own personal wealth that they never even considered that the people working for them would also like to live a similarly comfortable life. The situation arose from Buterin's well-meaning and naive strategy of subtraction, and unimaginably disconnected from reality belief that people don't care for financials. Almost all initial Foundation employees left long ago, as the only reasonable way to actually have a compensation proportional to the value being created. He believes the Foundation overly abused the fact that some people were in this for principles, not for the money, paraphrasing Buterin's compensation philosophy as, if someone's not complaining that they are paid too little, then they are paid too much. He stated the Foundation is structured internally to deliberately hide this information, suggesting that even if initially accidental, the Foundation has since leaned full weight into it. So, pretty scathing review or expose there. What do you guys think about that? I mean, I guess it's not something that hasn't been raised before inside the community. I think people are kind of aware of how, social layer of all this works. Despite the sort of code is gospel narrative. So now what we're going to do is view the Trustless Manifesto that seems to be somewhat in response to this expose. I'm going to see how Vitalik and the Ethereum Foundation has responded to this critique. Vitalik says, signed the Trustless Manifesto, and here's some images of it here and a link. So we're going to follow the link and we're going to read the actual manifesto, go straight to source. It says here, the Trustless Manifesto, authors Yoav Weiss, Vitalik Buterin, and Marissa Posner. Special thanks to PC Avasakio, Tim Clancy, and Draw Tarosh for feedback and review. So, number one, why trustlessness matters. Every system begins with good intentions, a hosted node here, a whitelisted relay there. Each is harmless on its own, and together they may become habit. Gateways become platforms, platforms become landlords. Landlords decide who may enter and what they may do. The only defense is trustless design. Systems whose correctness and fairness depend only on math and consensus, never on the goodwill of intermediaries. Trustlessness is not a feature to add after the fact, it is the thing itself. Without it, everything else, efficiency, UX, scalability, is decoration on a fragile core. Trustlessness is how credible neutrality is achieved. Without it, the system becomes one that depends on intermediaries. Number two, why we build on Ethereum. We build on Ethereum because we choose verification over blind trust. We write code so that power cannot hide behind policy. We design protocols so that freedom does not depend on permission. Ethereum was not created to make finance efficient or apps convenient. It was created to set people free, to empower anyone, anywhere to coordinate without permission and without trusting anyone they cannot hold accountable. Ethereum is the path to trustlessness. That promise must not be lost as we scale. Number 3, what trustlessness means. A system is trustless when any honest participant can join, verify, and act without permission and without fear. This requires self-sovereignty. Each user authorizes their own actions. No one acts on their behalf. Verifiability. Anyone can confirm what happened from public data. Censorship resistance. Any valid action can be included within a reasonable time frame and without undue cost. Walkaway test. If one operator disappears or misbehaves, another can step in without approval. Accessibility. Participation must be within reach of ordinary users, not only experts with servers and capital. Transparency of incentives. Participants are governed by protocol rules, not private contracts or opaque APIs. Remove any of these and the system drifts from protocol to platform, from neutral ground to private property. Number 4, what trustlessness demands. Trustlessness is expensive. It requires redundancy, openness, and complexity. It requires mempools that anyone can use, even if that invites spam. It requires clients that anyone can run, even if few will. It requires governance that moves slowly because no one can override consensus. Every shortcut that assumes trust eventually costs freedom. Trustlessness depends on free open source software, not only code that can be read, but code that can be freely run, verified, and improved. A trustless design must therefore obey 3 laws. Law 1, no critical secrets. No step of a protocol should depend on private information held by a single actor except the users themselves. No indispensable intermediaries. Anyone who forwards, executes, or attests must be replaceable by any other participant following the same rules. Anyone can run one is not enough. Participation must be practically open, not reserved for those with servers, funding, and DevOps skills. A system that depends on intermediaries most users cannot realistically replace is not trustless. It merely concentrates trust in the hands of a smaller class of operators. No unverifiable outcomes. Every effect on state must be reproducible and checkable from public data. These laws are harsh, they limit what we can build easily, but they're the only guarantee that what we build belongs to everyone. Number 5, the drift towards dependence on trust. The drift is not theoretical, it is already here. Hosted RPCs are the default. If AWS, GCP, and Cloudflare went dark, most apps would too. Sequencing is centralized by design in many rollups. Upgrade keys still exist. Training wheels are used as an excuse to delay decentralization. How many times have you guys heard that? Self-custody is delegated to CEXs, or CEXs, centralized exchanges. Cross-chain interoperability has begun to mirror the very centralization it was meant to overcome. Solvers and relayers act as gatekeepers of execution, deciding which transactions succeed and which fail. Trust does not return all at once. It returns through default slowly. Each choice feels harmless, temporary, not like centralization. No capture, no coup, just comfort. Help becomes habit, habit becomes dependence. Soon participation depends on infrastructure that only a few can run, and verification becomes the privilege of specialists. This is how decentralization erodes, not in theory but in production, not tomorrow but today. Decentralization erodes not through capture but through convenience. It drifts automatically, continually toward dependence on trust. Number 6, delegation may exist, dependence must not. The limits of delegation. Users may choose convenience, a hosted node, a friendly UI, a service that helps them. The protocol must never require it. If inclusion requires an intermediary, it is not trustless. If that intermediary must be trusted, it is not neutral. If users can theoretically run their own intermediary, but in practice never will, the system has replaced permissionlessness access with technical gatekeeping. A permissionlessness protocol must not only be open in code, but open in cost, accessibility, and comprehension. We've seen this pattern before. Email was once fully open. Anyone could run their own mail server. In theory, you still can. But in practice, spam filters, block lists, and reputation systems make it nearly impossible for ordinary users. Email became effectively centralized, not because the protocol was closed, but because practical trustlessness was lost. We must not let Ethereum's access layer follow the same path. It's a good point. It's very true. Email once was or had the potential to be a very open system, and while it still is in theory, in practice everyone uses Gmail or Outlook. I think that's about it. Those seem to be the main players. Maybe people still use Yahoo Mail, but I'm sure that's dying. MSN, Hotmail, basically Outlook, same thing, Microsoft. So on here, number 7. So the duty of builders. We who design protocols are stewards, not gatekeepers. Our duty is not to build what is easiest, but what remains open and self-sovereign. When complexity tempts us to centralize, we must remember every line of convenience code can become a choke point. When critics ask why our designs are complicated, we should ask them what or whom they are trusting instead. If simplicity comes from trust, it is not simplicity, it is surrender. Trustlessness costs computation, latency, and mental effort. It buys resilience, longevity, neutrality, and freedom. Trustlessness also requires viable incentives. Systems must reward those who sustain them without turning them into gatekeepers. A protocol that relies on unpaid altruism will decay. That's interesting. Because that was part of the critique before by the insider, the expose. A protocol that rewards control will centralize. The only stable equilibrium is one where neutrality is profitable. Number 8, the way forward. Ethereum has scaled. Now it must stay honest. As we build new layers, new accounts, and new ways to interact, we must preserve the properties that made Ethereum matter. Users initiate their own actions. Anyone can verify and participate. No one can be silently excluded. Logic lives in code, not in contracts of trust. Inclusion depends on incentives, not on reputation or permission. Trustlessness is not perfection. It is a system that fails publicly, transparently, and recoverably, rather than privately and silently. Number 10, the pledge. We choose to build trustless systems even when it is harder. We pay the cost of openness over the convenience of control. We do not outsource neutrality to anyone who can be bribed, coerced, or shut down. We measure success not by transactions per second, but by trust reduced per transaction. We refuse to build on infrastructure we cannot replace. We refuse to call a system permissionless when only the privileged can participate. We refuse to trade autonomy for polish or freedom for frictionless UX. Trustlessness is not preserved by consensus alone, it is preserved by resistance. If your protocol requires faith in an intermediary, change it. If it relies on a private gateway, replace it. If it hides critical state or logic off-chain, expose it. In the end, the world does not need more efficient middlemen, it needs fewer reasons to trust them. Trustlessness is the foundation, everything else is construction on top of it. The designs will change, the principles will not. Okay. I mean, that's quite a nice little manifesto here. You know, how committed they are, how committed Vitalik and the Ethereum Foundation is to this manifesto, we'll see. Obviously, there's been some critiques for a while that kind of contradicts a lot of the stuff it's saying here. But I guess it's a good thing to see that they're, you know, trying to change the narrative. Maybe it's a genuine pledge. You know, maybe they're going to move forward like this. We hope so. It'd be a shame to see Ethereum die the death of many other chains. And when I say death, it's not, you know, it doesn't die. It's not a ghost chain, but it's a Fed chain. It's a corpo chain. And that might as well be as good as dead, right? So, on that note, it seems like a good segue. If you guys aren't aware, actually, the Ethereum Cypherpunk Congress is coming up soon on Sunday, November the 16th. And it's in Buenos Aires. And it's run by Web3 Privacy Now. If you guys don't know Web3 Privacy Now, definitely go check them out. Here they are at web3privacy.info. Go to that address. Great team, great community. This event looks like a banger. Here we got first speeches: Richard Stallman, Vitalik Buterin, Naomi Brockwell. And here's all the speakers here. I'm sure you recognize a lot of these people. So yeah, just thought I'd give that event a shout out. Get yourself down there, guys. And also, it's another great segue because we're about halfway through the show now into going to play our little advertisement here for our partners over at LunaDAO. We'll be back in a mo.
Unchecked governments have eradicated privacy and truth. Those who resist are brought down swiftly, but we refuse to submit. Lunapunks are freedom fighters, protected by encrypted shadows. The future we're building is sovereign and uncensorable. The moonlit night is coming.
And we're back. We're back. Love that advert. Never gets old. So, what we're going to do now is we're going to go into just a quick update here. If you guys didn't know, exciting news here. Got a post from @Monero. Full chain membership proofs FCMP++ is currently live on testnet and progressing well. Great news. Here we go. FCMP++ is Monero's evolution, quantum safe, reorg proof, ready for L2. The whole chain becomes one shield and it changes everything. XMR will be the backbone of privacy. In a world of compliance updates, this one upgrades the individual. Monero will be the only exit. Here we go. Monero with ring signatures, little meme here. I got Bitcoin, Monero, 16 potential senders. Monero with FCMP++, 150 million plus potential senders. So massively increased the anonymity set. Amazing, great news. So let's see. And next up off the back of that, we've got some not so great news here. The Samurai wallet developer has been sentenced to 5 years in prison for unlicensed money transmitting. District Judge Denise Coate sentenced Keon Rodriguez to the statutory maximum. Fellow developer William Lonergan Hill will be sentenced later this month. New York. Samurai wallet developer Keon Rodriguez was sentenced to 5 years in prison on Thursday for his role in creating a Bitcoin mixing service that prosecutors say was used to launder $237 million in dirty money. District Judge Denise Coate of the Southern District of New York, who handed down Rodriguez's sentence, said that she felt that imposing the maximum sentence for the crime he pleaded guilty to, conspiracy to operate on an unlicensed money transmitting business, was necessary for both individual and general deterrence, adding that she had a troubling reaction to Rodriguez's letter to the court submitted ahead of his sentencing. The defendant engaged over a period of years in very serious antisocial criminal behavior. I don't understand his letter to reflect that he's come to terms with that, Coate said during a roughly hour-long hearing at the federal courthouse in downtown Manhattan. He identifies his motivation here as a desire to protect financial privacy. That's fine. That's good. We all want financial privacy. But I don't think that's really what was at stake here. There is no acknowledgement in that letter of the criminal world for whom digital currency is a gift. Classic Fed response there. Yeah, well, the problem is the alternative is giving the feds the back door. Like, you can make this argument for the internet. We don't prosecute all the people that run all the internet infrastructure, do we? Prosecutors echoed Coates' concerns during the hearing, saying that Rodriguez actively encouraged hackers, sanctions evaders, and other criminals to use Samurai Wallet. He knew he was breaking the law, they said, but he had a 6-page escape plan in his home detailing how he would use burner phones, cash motels, and country roads to evade law enforcement. Of course. Why is that a big problem? Dude, you guys are creepy fucks, man. No wonder this guy had an escape plan. Little fucking gremlins. The letter directly reflects that the defendant has not come to terms with what he did, prosecutors told Coate in their sentencing memo submitted to the court on October 31st. Prosecutors urged Judge Coate to impose that maximum sentence, writing that the pair intentionally and knowingly laundered proceeds from drug trafficking, darknet marketplaces, cyber intrusions, frauds, murder for hire schemes, and a child pornography website through Samurai Wallet. In his own sentencing submission, Rodriguez's lawyers suggested a sentence of 1 year and a day in prison. Rodriguez's lead attorney, Arnold and Porter partner, Michael Kim Krause, told the court that Rodriguez, now 37, had co-founded Samurai Wallet as an idealistic young man in his mid-20s after a lifetime of hearing family stories about how his relatives in Cuba had lost everything. The fact that Rodriguez had voluntarily pleaded guilty, Krause said, was evidence that he was taking responsibility for his actions. He also reminded the court that Rodriguez had already paid the $6.3 million forfeiture agreed ahead of his sentencing, something Krause said was unusual. When it was his turn to address the court, Rodriguez said that his letter wasn't perfect, but that he wanted to take the opportunity to speak to the court directly without having his lawyers write it for him. I am truly sorry and I understand the seriousness of my crime. I am remorseful, Rodriguez said. I can say truly that I will never break the law again. The experience has been dreadful. Despite Rodriguez and his lawyers' pleas for leniency, Coate was unmoved. Yeah, of course she wasn't. The letter indicated to me that you were very much still operating in a world with moral blinders on, says the fucking retard. She said before handing down the sentence of 60 months. In addition to Rodriguez's prison term, Coate imposed a 3-year period of probation upon his release, as well as a $250,000 fine, despite his lawyer's protestations that Rodriguez and his wife had no money left after paying the forfeiture. Coate ordered that if Rodriguez were to work during his sentence via the Unicorp program, 50% of his monthly earnings would be taken and put towards paying off his fine. Upon his release, Coate ordered that 25% of Rodriguez's gross monthly earnings would be garnished until his fine was paid. Rodriguez and his fellow Samurai Wallet developer, William Lonergan Hill, were arrested last April and charged with conspiracy to commit money laundering and conspiracy to operate an unlicensed money transmitting business. Though the pair fought the case for more than a year, they struck a surprise deal with prosecutors in July, agreeing to plead guilty to the lesser unlicensed money transmitting conspiracy charge in exchange for the money laundering conspiracy charge, which carries a maximum sentence of 20 years in prison, being dropped. See, that's another thing. They always talk about people pleading guilty, but they don't talk about this kind of shit. They try and paint the narrative. Well, he pleaded guilty. Obviously, he must be guilty. He admits it. It's not necessarily true. Bullshit, man. These fucking corrupt mongoloids. The pair's change in plea came in the midst of fellow developer Roman Storm's trial, also in the Southern District of New York. What's going on with New York, man? What's going on with all these little fucking golems in New York? Pressure to power. Get them. Like Rodriguez and Hill, Storm, one of the developers of Tornado Cash, a once popular crypto privacy tool, was charged with conspiracy to operate an unlicensed money transmitting business and conspiracy to commit money laundering, with an additional charge of conspiracy to violate international sanctions. A Manhattan jury found Storm guilty only on the unlicensed money transmitting charge, failing to reach an unanimous verdict on the other 2 charges. Prosecutors have not yet indicated whether they plan to retry Storm on the 2 hung charges. 2 of the prosecutors in Storm's trial, including Assistant U.S. Attorney Nathan Rain, one of the lead prosecutors in the trial against former FTX CEO Sam Bankman-Fried, were in the courtroom for Rodriguez's sentencing. Hill is scheduled to be sentenced by the same judge on November 19th, after the judge postponed the hearing originally scheduled for Friday. Well, good luck. I hope they're a little more lenient on Hill. Very sad to see. These people don't give a shit. Don't give a shit about us. Don't give a shit about freedom. They claim that they do. They take the moral high ground. Even here, they're saying, oh, yeah, look, you're taking the moral high ground, but you didn't seem very apologetic. Why should he have to apologize to you? Oh, I'm sorry, state. I'm sorry. So next up, we're going to move on to some more privacy news, and that is some news coming out of the Zcash community. Let's have a look here. We've got a post from CoinDesk, and it says, privacy is back. Zcash, the encrypted Bitcoin, is leading a new wave of privacy-first crypto. The Zashi app wallet just made shielded transactions the default, pushing financial privacy into the mainstream. It says here, the impact is real. Shielded supplies surged from 1.2 million to 4.5 million. That's 20 to 25% of total supply now private by default, tripling the encrypted base in under a year. Okay, and here we go. Here's a little graph showing shielded versus transparent. Users are choosing privacy. Fully shielded Zcash to Zcash transactions now make up over 25% of total flow, rising from single digits just months ago. This isn't theory, it's product market fit for private money. Price and scarcity fundamentals align. 2024 halving cut inflation to 3.5%. Circulating supply to 16.3 million Zeke. Market cap 5 billion in October 2025. Zcash's supply compression mirrors early Bitcoin cycles, but with privacy as the hook. The Project Tachyon upgrade could be Zcash's fire dancer moment, scaling shielded throughput to thousands of TPS with oblivious sync, making privacy instant and global. From an ecosystem view, 4 independent dev teams, ECC, ZF, Shielded Labs, and Tachyon, active governance via shielded coin holder votes, cross-chain privacy payments, live via Near protocol, and Maya integrations. So, I mean, it's a good move. It's good that they've put, sort of the official kind of Zcash wallet app. They've made these shielded transactions default. I don't know what to think about Zcash. I mean, obviously they've got a kind of a legacy. They've been around for a long time, done a lot of good work for the community, but I keep seeing and have been seeing for the past couple of months, especially while it's been pumping. It's very, very frothy, pumpy kind of narratives, especially on, social media. All these people coming in, oh, Zcash is, the holy grail. Zcash is better than Monero. Lot of bandwagon jumpers. You can kind of see a pattern. You can see the vibe, the tone of all these posts. Is that just because it's making money? Some people are saying it's a concerted effort. Or is it just, it's pumping and therefore people are talking about it? Or is there something a little more sinister going on behind the scenes? Some people think that it's, it's kind of a Fed initiative in order to capture the private side of the crypto ecosystem. So off the back of Zcash introducing, or at least the Zashi app introducing shielded transactions by default, we're going to look at a little critique and breakdown, and this is called transactional anonymity alone. Is that really enough for a crypto to call itself a privacy coin? This user asks the question. Think again. Most people assume hiding the sender and receiver equals full privacy, but it's not that simple. A true privacy coin needs more than just anonymous transactions. Amounts hidden, otherwise patterns give you away. Strong anonymity sets, you're only private if you blend in. Network and metadata privacy, IP, timing, relay info matter too. Fungibility, coins can't be tainted by history. Ecosystem usability, bridges, exchanges, and wallets can leak info. Monero gets closest, privacy by default, sender, receiver, amount, hidden, and truly fungible. Coins like Beldex coin also focus on privacy with strong transactional anonymity, giving users more control over their digital footprint. Zcash, optional shielded transactions, smaller anonymity set, still vulnerable. So next time someone tells you this coin is private, ask, are you really hiding everything that matters? They've tagged Binance, Hyperliquid, and Vitalik Buterin. So this user replies here and says, Monero is the only one with mandatory privacy. Zcash's optional shielding means less than 5% use it, which breaks the anonymity set. Beldex, interesting, but liquidity? And the user here has replied saying, yes, Monero is currently the only major privacy coin with mandatory privacy, meaning every transaction hides sender, receiver, and amount by default, which maximizes the anonymity set. Zcash's optional shielding means that less than 5% of transactions actually use the shielded mode, drastically reducing its effective anonymity set and making most transactions linkable. Beldex is interesting because it also emphasizes transactional anonymity, but its liquidity is limited compared to Monero and Zcash. This can affect usability and the practical privacy of moving coins across exchanges or the broader ecosystem. So I quite like this post because there's a little breakdown here. Short, simple, sweet, straight to the point. And it's a good reminder for people. So the next article we're going to look at here, I think we're going to do, let's see, what else have we got? So, seems appropriate as we've just kind of given everyone a refresh here of what's important when it comes to being anonymous. We're going to read this post I found called The Cypherpunk Philosophy. The cypherpunk movement was never about money. It was about sovereignty, the belief that in a world built on surveillance, the highest act of freedom is to become unreadable. They saw code not as a tool, but as a language of resistance, a way to create systems where truth doesn't depend on trust and power can't be hoarded by a few. They believed mathematics could do what politics never could, make freedom non-negotiable. Lovely, love it. Make freedom non-negotiable. When governments built walls, cypherpunks built encryption. When corporations built walled gardens, they built open protocols. When the world chose convenience over autonomy, they chose anonymity over comfort. They didn't ask for permission, they wrote code, released it into the wild, and let it speak louder than manifestos ever could. To be a cypherpunk is not to reject society, but to rebuild it line by line, block by block, in a way where no one can own the rules of human interaction again. It's not rebellion for chaos, it's rebellion for permanence, a future where the individual stands taller than the institution because math guards their freedom better than law ever did. Amen. Love it. So who's that? This by user the Honeydoom. And I think we're going to end on, we're going to go to, in fact, let's read, we're going to read another post here, and I'm going to end on something about digital ID, a post that I liked, quite a concise and eloquent breakdown of kind of the current situation with digital IDs in the UK. So it was actually a response to one of Keir Starmer's posts, who's the Prime Minister currently of the UK. He's trying to introduce digital ID, and this, I'm going to read a post about, is basically a response to that, and a critique, a criticism, and a warning. But first off, we're going to read Michael Gogol. So, praising Satoshi for the white paper made sense before 2020. Back then, Bitcoin stood for resistance to central banks, surveillance, finance, and monetary manipulation. It was a tool for freedom. Today, it is the opposite. The cryptocurrency industry has been completely co-opted. It is now part of the financial system it once rejected. Everything runs through regulated exchanges, custodians, and KYC pipelines. The same banks and funds that mock Bitcoin now control it. The supposed revolution has turned into another speculative market managed by the same people it tried to escape. Bitcoin was meant to decentralize power. Instead, it concentrated it even further. A handful of institutions, corporations, and early holders now control most of the supply and most of the influence. Retail users are spectators, not participants. Real monetary utility is almost non-existent. People are not buying goods or paying rent with Bitcoin. They are watching price charts and trading derivatives. The ideology of freedom was replaced by the machinery of speculation. The promise of privacy turned into full traceability. The anti-bank movement became bank and money. Bitcoin is now just another instrument of capital concentration, an asset parked in institutional vaults, priced in dollars, and serving the same profit logic it once opposed. Crypto is not a revolution anymore. The wealth gap inside crypto mirrors the world it claimed to fix. The same people hold the power, the same games are played. What remains is branding, not liberation. The code still works, but the culture collapsed. The white paper described peer-to-peer electronic cash. What we got is a global casino. The spirit of 2009 is gone. The product that replaced it is compliance wrapped in speculation, owned by banks and advertised as freedom. Again, amen. Well said. Love it. Love these critiques of Bitcoin. It's great to remind ourselves of why we're here. A lot of people have forgotten that, and a lot of people are just new. They don't even know. So finally, we're going to end on this post, this reply to Keir Starmer. And then we're going to actually watch a video. We're going to end on a video of, where is it? I'm going to end on Ethereum's Next Revolution, Privacy by Default by Andy Guzman, the PSC lead, and the Ethereum Foundation. So I'm going to learn a little bit about how Ethereum's addressing privacy and what they're looking into, what they're researching at the moment. And this is a video by an interview, I should say, by Web3 Privacy Now. But first, we're gonna read this response to Keir Starmer. So Keir Starmer says, digital ID will be a huge help in tackling illegal immigration, but it's so much more than that. It will empower people every single day by giving you a new way to prove who you are, saving time and money when you apply for a mortgage by cutting down unnecessary paper. Remember what we were just saying not that long before about the convenience killing the decentralization when we were reading Vitalik's manifesto, Trustlessness Manifesto? Look, it's exactly what I was saying. It's all about convenience. Proving your right to rent in one click. Ooh, fancy. Convenient. Personalized public services like helping parents claim eligibility for free childcare and nursery places. Oh, great. Free childcare and nursery places. Amazing. Just what we want. More kids being raised by the state. Love it. It's time to put power back in people's hands and bring the UK into the modern age. How is that putting power back into people's hands? I'm not sure. So here's the response here by Rob Moore, who I believe is a YouTuber, podcaster. Yeah, host of the Disruptors Pod. It says here, this is not about empowering people or modernizing the UK. It is about control. Digital ID sounds convenient on the surface, but it is the perfect Trojan horse for state overreach. Once everyone's identity, financial data, medical history, and online activity are tied to one central digital profile, you have effectively built the infrastructure for total surveillance. You claim it will tackle illegal immigration. In reality, it gives the government the ability to monitor and restrict the movements and transactions of ordinary citizens, the very people you say you want to empower. Proving your right to rent in one click quickly becomes denying your right to rent in one click. Remember that. Proving your right to rent in one click quickly becomes denying your rent in one click, or denying your right to rent in one click. Personalized public services become conditional access based on compliance. Again, remember that, guys. The idea of a digital wallet for identity and payments edges dangerously close to a social credit system where the state decides who is allowed to participate and who is not. You talk about saving people time and money, but what you are really saving is government effort by automating control and removing privacy. Once introduced, digital ID will not stop at mortgages or childcare. It will expand into employment, healthcare, travel, and even how citizens express opinions online. True empowerment means giving people freedom, not tracking them. If you really want to bring the UK into the modern age, focus on protecting privacy, decentralizing power, and ensuring that digital innovation serves the people, not the state. Ooh. Yes. Let's go, Rob Moore. What you got to say about that, Keir Starmer, you little bitch? Most people require, let's see, the readers added context they thought people might want to hear. Most people require a national insurance number or passport to work legally in the UK. Employers who do not check ID now are not likely to do so in the future. However, it's widely acknowledged that digital ID is an assault on personal liberty, a part of a trend by this government. Love it. And that's the thing I've noticed it's been happening. This is a cool little technique. So, you know how you can ratio things to the top? Right, so the thing that gets the most likes or retweets or comments, most engagement, gets pushed to the top. So it's the first response people see under a post. Well, you can get one up on that. You can go one step better by doing these community notes. So what people are doing on Keir Starmer's posts is just relentlessly making sure there's community notes there. So every time he puts some bullshit, people see exactly what the truth of the matter is. And that leads me now on to final section. We're going to watch this video from Andy Guzman, the PSE lead. So sit back and relax, guys.
Hi everyone, I'm Andy and I work at PSE, a team that does privacy at the FIAT Foundation. Okay, Andy, hi. Thanks for coming. Hey, Peter. Hi, people. For people who don't know who you are, can you tell a bit about yourself? Yeah, what do you do? Sure. So I'm Andy. I work at PSE. PSE is the team within the Ethereum Foundation who is in charge or more focused on the privacy on Ethereum, especially in the app layer where we touch other parts of the stack soon.
PSE is Privacy Stewards of Ethereum.
Yes.
Yeah, just to explain.
That's what it stands for.
Can you expand a bit on that, like how it merged actually?
Right. So it's actually like an older team within the Ethereum Foundation. It was called differently before. PSE used to stand for Privacy and Scaling Explorations. And it was a team started by Barry Whitehead, like an OG, like DAO hack, like white hat hacker. It's like very, very interesting. And he would just like kept doing like really interesting experiments, especially on these very new thing field called like snarks and CK snarks back in 2019 or 2017. So like,
wow,
like
that's
super
early. That's
super early. And basically Vitalik, the app, like started funding him, and then eventually in 2019 officially, if I remember the dates correctly, like it was established as a team part of the Ethereum Foundation. Yeah. So the main mandate was explore this new technology and what thing can it unlock within Ethereum. So it was a much more R&D experimental team versus what we're doing right now. But in that, this came like the first roll-up Like it was like one of the first like came with very like ideas, and one of the first like identity protocols, semaphore. PSE helped kickstarted the whole CK TLS space with TLS Notary. The first CK EVM kind of like project, not production, but like a community like project started there. And there are a few other examples. It's just like, I think it was like actually very impactful, and gave grants and supported a bunch of other like key infrastructure technologies. But of course, thankfully the space has expanded. There's a lot more teams. There's a lot of like expertise and investment. So now we have shifted, especially this year, into more problem first in privacy instead of exploration and scaling and other type of things. So yeah, it just like feels good to be more focused. But there's like a long history about this team and how it has evolved.
Yeah, that's impressive. I didn't know that. But my question is like, why and how it transformed from like R&D, which is wide, to just really privacy focused?
Yeah. So I'll still say we're a research and development team, but we now do some other stuff like more coordination, more like ecosystem, I guess, like collaboration. And the reason is twofold. One is like, the space has matured a lot more, right? There's like much bigger teams, much better funded. There are like validated use cases for CK, both on the scaling and the privacy side. There's like new technologies coming out like MPC, APG. So we're like, for the last year, 2024, we're just like scratching our heads trying to like find like where's the place for this team within the ecosystem. And we said like there wasn't a team within the Ethereum Foundation 100% focused on privacy. And privacy is one of the core values of Ethereum. It's like an enabler for freedom, decentralization, censorship resistance, so many other things. And it's also like a critical point for adoption, both for retail, which most people don't know, but like, we need privacy, like stable coin, like DeFi, everything like that you do, you need privacy. Otherwise, we're building an awful surveillance machine. And we also, even like institutions working on this. So like, I feel like it's a good inflection point for Ethereum Foundation to double down on privacy. And it was just like a clear, nice opportunity transition for PHC to focus on the problems and the needs first instead of just exploring technology.
And do you remember like when was the point when you realized, not you personally, but like the Ethereum Foundation, that privacy is something we should go for?
Yeah. I think it has always been in the line. I recently had a chat with a colleague who were saying like, oh, we need to add privacy on the validators with Thor like 10 years ago. It was like a PR or like an idea. So it has always been part of the DNA, but over the years, it has been, reprioritized, under-prioritized, it's like the ecosystem in general kind of like has the growth of like the pain of growing and scaling. And now there's the pain of like, okay, how do we maintain our values, like core values within the protocol? And I think we're on that stage now. And yeah, so I think like for our team particularly, it was like this year, especially at the beginning of the year, this transformation from like more of an exploration to like.
Don't upload your videos to YouTube, upload to Restream.
Solution transformation from like more of an exploration to like a problem solution ecosystem coordination first team. So that has been our transition this 2025. And I think for the Ethereum Foundation, it's just like, this is the year that it's just like doubling down on privacy. There's just like so much like tailwind. There's so much like new teams starting up. There's like, this big narrative push. There's like great orgs as well, like there's you guys and others like collaborating. So it just feels like the right time to put that gas on the pedal and like accelerate the roadmap. Yeah.
And what are the core challenges or problems that you tackle and that you see as some obstacles for making the whole ecosystem private? Like basically, what do you work on?
Yeah. So it is very broad, right? Because privacy, as like I would like to define it, is like your ability to control what information to show to whom, by when, but for how long, etc. So what information is just like everything, right? Like how you interact with the blockchain, how you query data, like what type of actions you take in which wallets, your IP. There's like so many like information elements or personal identifiable information that you can leak that you would want to add privacy, right? So how I see this is there's the privacy at the base Ethereum layer as the protocol layer. There's privacy on the application layer that you can build, and there's privacy that you can build on layer 2s and above. Right? So I think, I don't know, at this moment, PSC is focusing on the application layer. We will still like try to support some like EIP, some like process, try to analyze what things might negatively impact privacy if we like start, doing hard forks for Ethereum. We're also not focusing there as much, and we're also not focusing as much on like layer 2 constructions, which are like phenomenal teams are also tackling this. So that is one, like on the application layer. So it's like, okay, from the application layer, what type of like use cases have the most demand for, and where are the gaps, right? The good thing is like this ecosystem has expanded so much that they're like great teams following different technologies, different approaches, just to mention some, right? Like from CK, that is one of the most mature, the first ones to mature, to like MPC and FHE and TE and threshold encryption and IO and garbled circuits. These are all just like fancy words to say there are many ways to approach a problem, many different technologies. And within PSE, I think we want to do two things. One is map out what is the problem space. It's like, what do people need and where we're not being able to meet those needs. And then map out the solution space, which is like, which teams are working on what. Mm-hmm. And then we can try to fill the gaps. Maybe it's connecting people, maybe it's creating standards, maybe it's creating, I don't know, shared practices. And then, or maybe just like creating this piece of technology that if PSC kind of like puts the pedal, accelerates, it benefits everyone. So I feel that's kind of like our mind shift, our way we want to collaborate and like steward, guide, support the ecosystem. And yeah, there's like just so many things we could be doing, but this is just like high level like answer to that.
Yeah, that's fine. You just have like 20 minutes, so it's perfectly fits. Right. Maybe as the next interview we'll make, it will be more expanded. I hope we'll have time. Right. Somewhere, sometime. But so I mentioned that like a lot of people who are watching this now, they're like privacy savvy and maybe is able like to contribute or to help or to be a part of PSC. Is it possible, and like is there any space for contribution or being a part of it?
Yeah, that's amazing. So the first thing I would say is very recently we published our privacy roadmap, like just searching if the Fellowship of Ethereum Magicians PSC roadmap for 2025 and beyond. And to make it easier to understand, we basically divided our work in three big buckets. One is private reads, private writes, and private proving. So private reads is like all the interactions that you do with the blockchain when you query data, right? Like how do you query your balance, the assets, your wallet, how do you connect, how do you send those through the network layer, like a lot of RPC stuff. So there's a lot of work to be done there. The other one is private writes, which is like for when you're doing actions, how do you maintain privacy there? And those are things like transfers, right? Like I want to send ETH or like an ERC20 token or whatever. Or you want to voting, or I want to do DeFi, or I want to do, swapping, lending, auctions, whatever, social. There's just so many elements of like acting on the blockchain. And the other one is private proving, which is like all the things that support these interactions. Like how do you take data from Web2 and maintain privacy? How do you accelerate that proving? How do you like just benchmark what is like the technologies that exist here? How do you do development? So we have basically this roadmap, these three columns or buckets. And the goal is to work with the community to find where are the gaps, where are people working already, how can we accelerate their development or our development in space development. Okay. So yeah, definitely looking a lot of people to kind of like read this. They're like more specific, action items that we can take, like, oh, we want to accelerate client-side proving, like which teams are building this and like where are the gaps? Maybe we need more GPU acceleration on Android. So like who has this skill set? Or maybe we need, I don't know, more awareness. Maybe we need to clearly map out like what is the trade-offs between these different technologies. So like there's like so much work to do and so many people who have the right skills, the right minds and the right values. So maybe it's just like posting like, hey, come and chat. And the next step will be to create working groups. Just, build an open channel chat forum where like you work with a couple of people from PSC and from the rest of the ecosystem to really tackle this problem by this date. I think that's the best way to collaborate, contribute, but just even before, committing, just go there, read it, give feedback, tell us what is missing and what things kind of like make us sound to you.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, like short take on like the future of Ethereum. Like, how do you think it will look like, let's say, in 5 years, and where are we moving now, and what we should expect, and what are the major, vectors we should expect?
Right. So I expect Ethereum to continue to scale and grow. That is one of the main focus for the Ethereum Foundation in general and the ecosystem. The other one is to really tackle the problem of interoperability and just making sure like the layer 2s and all the layer 3s and everything like feels like one Ethereum, and have like great UX, great privacy. But the third one or the fourth one is to have privacy embedded seamlessly across the stack. So I would expect like in 2 to 3 years, most of the transfers that happen, most of the actions, like the critical actions that happen, which for me are like ETH transfers, ERC20 transfers, like stablecoin transfers, and DeFi happen on privacy protocols by default. And that does not mean necessarily that the layer 1 will be private like other like blockchains, but that users, wallets, infrastructure, teams prefer to use privacy protocols that have great UX, that have great cost, or like, almost the same as like transparent actions, that they have optional compliance if they want to, comply with whatever regulator, but the people feel comfortable and prefer to use this mechanism. That is the vision, that is the goal, that is the kind of like the dream where it should be Ethereum in 2 to 5 years.
Yeah, it's a beautiful vision. And talking about vision, let's mention that the ideal internet of futures that you want, not just Ethereum, but like in general, the whole web infrastructure. How would it, like, imagine we have it private, secure, resilient, decentralized, like all the like the dreams that we have. Like, how would it look like, and how would the life of people change in these circumstances? Like ideal world of web.
Yeah, is the ability to own your assets, like your money, and the ability to take it wherever you want, the ability to take your identity and your digital, history with you. I think it's the most important promise, without being surveillance, captured, without being like censored or enforced. And that is the vision that we're building towards, right? So like, if I'm a normal person, like I can escape my inflation, or I can escape my, monetary controls from my country if I need to, right? And if I want to collaborate, I don't know, with whatever, like compliance agency, like I have the freedom to do it, but it's returning much of the information, knowledge, and value and ownership back to the individual. I think that's the vision of like self-sovereignty that people will be able to get. So like, it will feel almost like cash. Like that's almost a vision that I think for at least private transfers, like people, it's it's composable, it's atomic, it's like fungible, it's private. It's just like something that you and I can like agree and receive and see the effects of our actions, instead of the whole world seeing the whole history, that right now it's in blockchain. And the same with DeFi, right? Like, you can escape your own country or local like financial situation, for better or for worse, with a global DeFi market that you permissionlessly use without big track down and put the pressure on you if you utilize them. So I think that those are kind of like the two ideas. And then it's just like this third one, which is like your identity, right? You can take it over to another system if you don't like your social networks. You are not being, tracked down, cookies, profiled. Without these elements, monetary, financial, and non-financial use cases, like we cannot build a better future, and we need privacy to be part of that.
100%.
Yeah,
100%. That's why we are doing what we are doing, right?
I agree.
Okay. Unfortunately, I mean, I love the discussion with you. Unfortunately, we have to round up, so it will be just the last one.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask your vision on cypherpunk, because it's like this term is getting like hyped back.
Yeah.
But I feel it's very different now from like the 80s when it's emerged. So how do you feel cypherpunk now? What does it mean to be a cypherpunk now?
Yeah. So cypherpunks are the foundation, I feel, of all this movement, and we have drawn so much inspiration and ideology from past history and heroes. So it's like pay homage to that. But it's also, I have seen that it is not enough to preach a message of confrontation, secrecy, anti-government, or like anarchism necessarily. At least my personal view of like how this new generation is absorbing cypherpunk is like we are looking for privacy to enable us to give freedom, to enable us to give democracy, to enable us to like unlock all these positive aspects of our life that without it we couldn't have it. So I like the new kind of like cypherpunk movement, sapphire punk, like DeFi punk. It's just like all these like newer branches or newer reinterpretations of the cypherpunk movement in a more positive light, I guess, more as an enabler versus like a defender necessarily. Thankfully, the crypto wars, like the cryptography wars, like we're fought and won the last two. So maybe we're lucky to be in a different, environment. But in my view, yeah, like the cypherpunk movement, it's global now. It's more on the positive aspects. It's more highlighting all the things that we gain with privacy versus all the things that we are defending and like we could lose if we don't have it. I much rather prefer this kind of a new messaging, new vibe, new like push from these newer generations.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, thanks for sharing.
Yeah,
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it was a pleasure.
Yeah, likewise.
Thanks for watching. Ciao.
Ciao.
Don't forget Lunar Punks, guys. Mentioned Sapphire Punk, DeFi Punk. Kind of new branches of Cypherpunk. Don't forget the Lunar Punks. Anyway, on that note, we're going to end the show. Thanks for coming, guys. This has been episode 20 of Fiat Lux. We're going to end on our advertisement for LunarDAO here. So we'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.
Unchecked governments have eradicated privacy and truth. Those who resist are brought down swiftly, but we refuse to submit. Lunapunks are freedom fighters, protected by encrypted shadows. The future we're building is sovereign and uncensorable. The moonlit night is coming.